Harvard University, and just want to show you that that advisor, they say, they give you, may not have the same goals as you have. They say that you just need to sign up and they'll take care of you. But if you look here on Cal State Long Beach, first year in 2006, 298 people started, and after 4 years, only 48 had graduated, 16%. So the thing I want you to know is if you want to graduate, it's going to be important for you to pay attention to your own registering for classes. Getting classes is not easy in the U.S. And so the first thing that you want to know when you're starting is, do I have any holds on my registration ability? Sometimes they're financial. Sometimes there are, you have to sign up for insurance or a waiver, one or the other, and it has to go through approval if it's a waiver, or you don't get to register for classes. Financial aid is another thing, but there's usually a place where you can see after you're accepted the different things that you need to do in order to be allowed the privilege of registering for classes, which you may think is an automatic. It is not. Okay, so anyway, just so that you know, after 8 years, those 298 students, only 63% of them graduated. That was 188, so over 100 did not graduate. And so it's important that you know that this is your deal. These are undeclared students, Caucasians, and they moved into different departments afterwards once they figured out what they wanted to do. But the first thing you want to do is to look at the what are the classes I need to take in order to graduate from this university. And so what you want to do is find that sheet, whatever it is. It's called general education usually, and there's certain requirements that have to be met. Now there's a whole course schedule, and many of those classes will meet these requirements. And fitting them in your schedule is a whole other thing. And they're usually schedule builder tools that you can look at on your website that will help you plan your schedule, because your goal is to maybe graduate and meet a lot of nice people and have a good time. But actually ending up with a degree is probably a good idea, since it costs a lot of money and takes a lot of your time. Each class, you might not think it's a big deal, but you're going to be stuck in that class for maybe 3 months every week, at least a couple times a week, and having homework and big books. And if you have a professor you don't like, it's hard. So I like to recommend that you use tools like ratemyprofessor.com so that you can look at the classes. Now, the first part, though, is really finding classes that meet these requirements. These are the general requirements that need to be met for any student graduating from the university, and you'll have to find that sheet for each university. And then there's prerequisites to go into a major. Like if you had an English major or an engineering major, they're going to have different classes that you must take in order to get into that major. And you have to usually get a certain GPA for that, grade point average. So the issue is you want to look for classes that meet your general education and maybe a prerequisite for your major. Double counting can work very well. Certain things are not allowed to double count, so you need to check with your major, check with your advisor. They're the ones who can help you, but you really need to know what you want. If you're undeclared, mainly you want to get these classes out of the way and maybe take some things you're more interested in. If you don't know what you're interested in, you're just going to need to look at the professors and the classes that are open and see which ones are going to line up for your schedule. So another thing to keep in mind is that sometimes there's some extra requirements like global issues or human diversity. And for example, these you're not allowed to double count, but you can take a class under this requirement that also meets the global requirements. Or you can take a class that doesn't and you have to take an extra class. So wherever you can overlap, it saves you time and money. And that is really useful because you can spend that time taking a class you really want with a professor you really want to talk to and listen to and enjoy. So that's something to keep in mind in order that you are one of these people who graduates and with a major that you enjoy. And hopefully you get a job, another opportunity is looking for internships and things like that, staying in touch with your professors. But we'll talk about that at a later time. Thanks. Bye. Good luck.